Before the introduction of the MMR vaccine in 1963, measles, mumps, and rubella, measles was one of the most widespread diseases in the United States. This highly airborne disease infected millions and killed an average 400 to 500 people each year. Nearly all children before the age of 15 were expected to get measles. But since then, measles outbreaks continued to decline every year as the vaccine was further and further developed, leading to its eradication from the US in the year 2000. But unfortunately, people still refuse to vaccinate themselves and protect themselves against preventable diseases such as measles. So when it is introduced by a foreigner from regions of the world that still have measles, such as Africa and Asia, it can spread rapidly from unvaccinated person to unvaccinated person. And this leaves babies, pregnant women, and those with reduced immune systems at risk who are unable to vaccinate themselves in the first place. Most recently, in early 2015, there was a measles outbreak in Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Patient zero was believed to be a foreigner, unvaccinated, who unknowingly was infected with measles at the time, who from there infected dozens of people, majority of who were unvaccinated, who then infected even more people once they returned to their home states, such as Colorado and Utah, and even one case was reported in Mexico. But this wouldn't have happened if people in public places were required to be vaccinated in the first place. But this is really unrealistic. We can't require everyone out in public to be vaccinated against these diseases. But it's really realistic to do in public schools, as seen by California and Mississippi, who have already passed mandates requiring all children to be up to date with their immunization schedule as recommended by the CDC. We want to do this because we want to increase the effectiveness of something called herd immunity, which is the proportion of people in a specific population that are immunized or immune to a certain disease. And by creating an effective herd immunity in our schools, children and even staff members who do have reduced immune systems in the first place will feel safe knowing that the majority of students, or possibly all students, are vaccinated against the disease, and the disease won't spread in the first place in that school. Now also, slowly, generation by generation, we can build up a national herd immunity, which will equip us to better fight off diseases that come into our country all the time from foreigners in the first place. So that means that even though cases of measles are still reported every year, they'll decline even further and become even more rare because the majority of the nation will be immunized or have the vaccination against measles. Finally, this law would get rid of personal and religious exemptions, which parents can choose so they don't have to vaccinate the children and still send them to public schools. Marin County, our county, actually has a very high vaccination exemption rate, which is 6 to 7%. And that this is really dangerous because if a disease is introduced into this region, it'll spread really rapidly because there are a lot of children who are unvaccinated, not counting the amount of people, adults, who are unvaccinated in the first place. So we have to pass this national law so that we can help stop the spread of disease, but also protect those who can't vaccinate themselves in the first place.